Hi, I'm Lindsay, host of the Live Like Eden podcast. What do you do when your whole life flips upside down? Are you questioning everything, lost in chaos, or yearning for life's deeper meaning? I've been there, deep in the thick of it, unraveling my own awakening mess for over 20 years. Now I'm here to help you through yours. I share no-nonsense weekly wake-ups, cutting through the ego's illusions to wake you up to your own spiritual wisdom. No mountaintop bliss needed here, just practical tools, insights, and real-life experience to save you time. Plus, a much-needed laugh when we're all losing it. Let's dive into this fresh new episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another show. Today, I have an awesome guest for you. Her name is Carrico. Erica is here to chat with us about finding your life's purpose. Not only finding your purpose, but then how do you channel that into your job or your career path or making a soulful living? Erica has devoted her life to helping other people find their own purpose and then creating their own soulful businesses themselves. She's not only a successful entrepreneur, but she's a single mom. She's a cancer survivor, a speaker, and now an author. And she's here today to tell us all about it. I hope you enjoy our chat. You can find all you need to know about Erica, all the courses she offers, the book she's written at ericacarrico.com. I'll make sure to link it in the show notes for you. For now, sit back and enjoy our chat, and I'll see you all next week. All right. Hello, Erica. Welcome to the show. I'm so happy you're here with me today.
I am so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. I want to just get started by introducing you a little bit. You're an award-winning soul business coach, and you're an entrepreneur. You empower women to transform their lives and discover their own purpose and create their own soul-aligned businesses, which is so awesome. And on top of that, you're a mom.
Yes, a single mom.
I know, a single mom. That's right. A cancer survivor and somebody who has broken free from what sounded like a miserable 9-to-5 career. And you're a speaker and now an author of a new book, brand new book called Awaken Your Purpose.
Yeah.
And so many people struggle with finding their purpose, which is what we're going to
know.
get in today. And people settle for that societal expectation that you got to survive and pay the bills, even if you're miserable, right?
Yep.
So I always love to start my show with, because it's about awakening and spirituality. And I'd love to start you just giving you the opportunity to share your own personal transformation and story with the audience, how you managed it and how you got to be or felt that spiritual call to help others and do what you do today.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I think, I definitely knew from a young age that I wanted to have a different life. I knew that I didn't want to have a traditional life. I didn't, necessarily want to get stuck in a career. I didn't want to live in an office. I didn't even know that I wanted to get married. I just wanted to be free and explore the world and live my purpose and figure out what my purpose was and all these things. And, I kind of, as I grew up and got older, and I was doing a lot of traveling, I was living a pretty cool life. But, as I started getting into my later 20s, and my friends were getting married and climbing the corporate ladder, and it started to hit me a little different. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. Maybe I do need to, start thinking about being responsible and
Yeah.
being an adult. And yeah, I mean, I think as the years went by, the fear and the societal conditioning and the messages from my family and from my partner's family at the time, you guys are going to be getting married and you're going to be starting a family. And I wanted to start my own business, but everybody was like, you can't do that. Like, and my ex-husband too, he was like, you can't do that. We need money. We need security. We need a job. We need benefits. We can't have babies without insurance and all the things. Right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I ended up, yeah, I mean, I ended up working in a traditional corporate career for many years, and kind of fast forward, same type of thing as a lot of people. I hit total burnout and I was anxious, full of anxiety. I was depressed, and my life felt very mundane, and I felt very trapped in the wrong career. I felt very trapped in my marriage, and I was 36, finally diagnosed with kidney cancer.
Oh,
And
God.
that, I was breastfeeding a baby, I had a toddler, my marriage was falling apart, I wasn't happy in my career, and it was like, this is exactly what I need, great, thanks, let me just have a cancer diagnosis at the same
Right.
time. But obviously looking back, it was my spirit and my soul and my body's way of saying, like, you are not living the life that you're meant to live. And we've been trying to tell you through the anxiety, through the depression, through the boredom, and you weren't listening. So, we're going to whack you over the head with a 2x4. And that diagnosis was really the turning point in my life. And I really recognized that the way that I was living my life wasn't why I came here as a soul. I did not come here as a soul to do what I was doing. I came here to share my own work with the world, to bring my own medicine to the world. And I sort of made this promise, I suppose, to God or the universe or higher source, whatever it is that you want to call it, that no matter how much time I had left, whether it was going to be 6 months or 60 years, I was going to spend the rest of my life in full alignment and being of service and having the impact that I knew I was meant to have. And that really started the process of starting my business and leaving my career and leaving my marriage and healing my body and healing my spirit. And here we are 10 years later with a multi-million-dollar company that impacts women all around the world and a completely different life. Everything that is in my life now is intentionally here, from relationships to my home to everything in my home to my business to who works for me, all of it. Completely different.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've done a complete 180. Just flipped it
Yeah.
upside down. That's
All
awesome.
of it. I felt
Yeah.
like I had thrown a grenade in my life and just blew everything up. And I was just standing there waiting for the pieces to fall?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because you mentioned grenades. It seems like when grenades hit your life, you can either take them as an opportunity and change it, or you continue to get slaughtered, right? Until you wake up. So, how long did it take you, like with your cancer diagnosis? I mean, were you at all playing that victim at all and before you switched? Or, I mean, how long did it take you before you just really turned it around?
Yeah, I had this really bizarre experience. I was really, really afraid and I was not very awakened at the time. I had started to spiritually awaken a little bit, and I had started creating some awareness and really starting to recognize that I was a spiritual being having a human journey and not the other way around. But I was
Yeah.
still very like dense. I was still very much living in reaction mode, and I was terrified. I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that this is happening to me right now. I need to be here to raise these kids. I haven't done anything that I really want to do with a career, like my own business." And I had this moment where it was actually probably a week after I had been diagnosed. I had the surgery very quickly because it was a large tumor on my kidney and
Wow.
they didn't want to wait. So I had surgery to have half of my kidney removed along with a tumor. And the night before the surgery, I was nursing my baby girl to sleep like I had always done. And I just had this moment where I looked down at her and she just opened her eyes and she just
Oh,
smiled at me. And it was like, I just burst into tears. Like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this?
yeah.
And just ugly crying. And, she's just not understanding what's going on. And I heard this voice loud and clear, and it said, remission. And
Mm.
I said, I'm not in remission. I'm having surgery for cancer tomorrow. And the voice said back to me, remission, remember your mission,
Mm.
remember why you're here. And it
Yeah.
was like that moment, everything changed. It was like, oh my gosh, this
Yeah.
was a wake up call for me. And that was when it turned to like, this is happening to me, to this is happening for me. And
Yeah.
I pulled myself out of victim mode and I just stayed so connected to spirit and I was so surrendered for the years after that it was more of a dedication and like an openness and a becoming a vessel for what was meant to come through me. And
Right.
that is still how I live.
Yeah. That's amazing because so many people get stuck with not thinking that there's an actual choice and perception that you have, and just hearing that. And what a great, you should be like on out there touring for cancer survivors to
I
take that
know.
word remission and let people know it doesn't have to be like remission how they say it. That's so cool that
Thank
you
you for that. That's like
re
on my, I really would love that to become a thing here in the
oh
future.
yeah.
So yeah,
It could be amazing because people, when they get that diagnosis, the big C word freaks you out. And I'm
yeah,
sure, as you know, they freak you out, right?
they do.
Yeah. They make you think
Yeah,
you're dying tomorrow,
yeah,
And
yeah,
if you don't
yeah.
do what they say, you're dead. That's the other
Right.
thing. Yeah.
Well, that was the thing is like I kept asking my doctors, why did this happen to me? Because kidney cancer, I mean, in my doctor's appointments, I was in a urologist doctor's office with 90-year-old men. Like I
Right.
never saw another woman enter that. And I was like, why did this happen to me? And they're like,
Yeah. Wow.
we've never seen a kidney cancer in a woman your age. And we don't know. This was just a fluke. And that actually made it worse for me. It was like, no. That's not
Yeah.
going to, that does not help. That actually makes it worse because if my body flukely created it, it's going to recreate it. So I
Yeah.
really took a journey of like, why did my body create this from a cellular level, from a spiritual level, from an emotional level? And I didn't just change what I was eating. I changed my whole entire way of being,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
wanted to do everything I could to not let my body be down that same track where it could recreate that after
Yeah.
the surgery.
Yeah. Well, that's great because it sounds like it came at the right time because Spirit was obviously nudging you to,
Yeah.
okay, Erica, let's get this moving somewhere else. That's great.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean, when you're down, it hits you harder sometimes. If you don't listen to those whispers, then I think it just gets louder and louder. And for
yeah.
me, it was like cancer was honestly one of my worst fears, like my whole life, and I don't know why. And so that was the one thing that was going to wake me up.
Well, anybody who's listening that struggles with cancer or remission of cancer, it's so inspiring to hear that, it's possible to change your whole life from it. Yeah.
Thank you for
So,
that. Yeah.
yeah, that's great. So, getting into what you do every day
Yeah.
is help other women, create their life's purpose. And maybe you can share a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, I started out as a career coach. I was in corporate recruitment, so it was kind of a natural next step. I had coached thousands of women in my career to change careers and switch careers and all the things. And what I found over all those years was that the people that were truly happy with their career and felt really satisfied even in their lives were those that felt like their career was an extension of their purpose. And so for me, my business then became about not necessarily helping them just switch careers for the sake of switching careers, but like what can you do that is more meaningful? And then as my own spiritual journey evolved, my work deepened, right? And it was like,
Hmm.
okay, well, I actually now believe that we all have our own medicine that we're meant to share with the world and that we're here to bring our own gifts and that we're here to have impact. And so my coaching really started becoming more around like, what is your purpose? What is your medicine? And how can you really awaken to that? And what does that look like as a business, right? So a lot of times women or men even, I've had so many men go through the program too, but it's around like either moving into a career that's fully aligned with your purpose or starting a business and leaving corporate. Everyone comes out with a little bit of a different outcome. But
Yeah.
then once they're clear on where they want to start, right, then I help them to build their businesses if that's the direction that they want to go as well.
Yeah. So, what are some of the, I'm sure you've worked with so many people over the years. What are some of the most common themes, like in people's minds, probably is where it's mostly happening, that you see that inhibit their ability to create what they really want to do?
Well, one, I think it's fear.
Hmm.
Two, probably imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to do that? I can't do that. Or there's already enough people out there doing that. How would I ever fit in?
Yeah. Right.
What will people think of me? It's
Yeah.
another one. I think those
Yeah.
are probably the top three. Or like four is just imposter syndrome or like self-doubt and yeah, self-doubt of like, that's too big or I could never do that. Or yeah, the limiting
Yeah.
beliefs.
Yeah. So how do you help them sort of see through that? What do you say to them? I mean, what are some encouraging things for people listening right now that are, they're stuck. They, like you said, they don't think they can do it. Maybe they have this, vision of what they've been wanting to do forever, and it's still just sitting there. I mean, what would you say to them? How would you get them to move past those conditioned
Well,
beliefs too?
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's honestly what my book is about is how do I move through that and how do I really heal what needs to be healed, those limiting beliefs, the self-doubt, how do I step into confidence? How do I really get to know myself at soul level and then feel confident stepping into that? So my whole book is honestly about that, but I think the biggest things are just really having a knowing that you are here for something more. And if you do feel a calling or you have a desire, that is placed in you for a reason. And that's not something to be ignored. And if you have the desire, you can make it come to reality, right? Like
Yeah.
we are the creators of our own life.
Yeah.
And I think so many of us are in reactive mode and just reacting to things as they come that we forget that we actually do have a choice. And so
Right.
it's really remembering that and empowering ourselves and knowing that most of us do feel fear and I feel
Oh, yeah.
fear almost every day, but it's like
Yeah.
I'm going to do this in spite of the fear. And the fear can be there and it can be a passenger in the seat next to me, but it's not going to be the driver of my life, right?
Right, right. Well, fear is a big thing for everybody. And I personally had a very long experience with fear. And it's interesting because once you kind of get down to the bottom of it, it's just there kind of to help you. I mean, I think everybody's afraid of it, but it really could be a great teacher. It shows you exactly, kind of where you need to go. But
Yeah.
we're so afraid to even see that,
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. We
yeah.
don't want to see it. And
No. No,
It's
I'm
not
just,
fun. It's not fun to think about that, like where we need to go is what we're afraid of,
yeah,
but fear can be a really strong, powerful guide also.
it can. Well, when it's transformed, that is, yeah.
Right, right. Yes.
Yeah. So, what are some of the, just thinking of all the people you've worked with, what are some great success stories or people that maybe came to you and you just watched them? And obviously your own story, but just people you've worked with that you've seen. What are some things that come to mind that maybe are big shifts for people that it's just why you do what you do?
Yeah, I think one of my most favorite stories is a woman. She had a PhD in genealogy. So she was a
Oh.
geneticist working in a
Hmm.
lab, had this 20-year career. And she came to me and she was just like, I am not fulfilled. I know that there's something else that my soul is calling me to do. And she was a scientist, right? So spirituality for her was a little bit of
Hmm.
a like, I'm pretty
Right.
skeptical of this.
Yeah.
But I took her through my process, my Awaken Your Purpose process. I think at that time I was private coaching clients through that process. And she went through the course and she figured out, what it was that she wanted to do. And she really wanted to move into, like a lot of my clients do, I suppose, more of like a healer, right? So she wanted to move into energy healing and start working with people on that kind of a level. And so she quit her job and she started her business, and I was working with her to grow her business. And she needed to get a part-time job so that she could just have some money coming in, and she wasn't trying to then build her business from a place of like scarcity and fear and lack.
Right.
And so I was like, well, what do you like to do? Just go get something that, not a PhD job in a lab, but what is just something you'd really love to do? And she's like, well, I think I'd love to. I love being outside. I love working
Yeah.
with horses. So I'm going to go to this barn and see if I can get a job at a barn. Well, a PhD, 20-year professor, researcher, took a job shoveling horse manure at a barn while she was building her business. And, 2 or 3 years later, not only did she have multiple six-figure business, but she actually owned horses that she now boards at that barn.
Oh,
So
perfect.
it's like she just came full circle, and it was so amazing to watch her whole entire life change over the course of just 2 or 3 short years.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's interesting because that educational degree, a lot of people get really hung up on, and once they get it, they must use it, right? That I'm
Right.
scientific and I'm the intellect. The intellect gets in the way, and as you're sort of kind of trying to share with people, is the soul is screaming something completely different, and maybe it is through intelligentsia or whatever, but not always, and that's hard for people to break that down. Get past that.
Yeah, well, I did the same thing. I mean, when I was getting ready to, I actually wanted to leave corporate recruitment, and I was 29, I think, at the time, and I wanted to start my own business. And I have a degree in psychology,
Mhm.
and I had done a bunch of life coaching as a client. And so the, career coaching and life coaching really was appealing to me. And that was when everybody was like, you can't start a business. You're getting married, you're getting ready to have children and a family, like you need to have a real job. And so I did what I thought the safe thing was, and I took out a $60,000 loan, went back and got my master's degree
Oh,
in
wow.
nonprofit management so that I became the executive director of a not-for-profit organization. So not only was I then $60,000 in student loan debt, but I went from earning six figures in corporate to $29,000 a year as the not-for-profit director. I mean, that was the safe thing to do. I did that over starting my own business, which to me, looking back, is like, what was I thinking?
I know, I know. Well, it's like you're getting this pressure from everyone around, society's huge. And it's funny when you think about it, it's like, why do people care what you're doing? Have you ever noticed that? It's like people have their two
Yeah,
cents about your life, but
right.
it's like you're not living it. It's my life to
Right.
live. Yeah.
Right. Right. And yeah, I think that is like an old school. I think that's definitely an old school way of thinking. And, like I
Mhm.
look at how I parent now, and it's like, I just want my kids to be so them. It's not, I don't even say like, well, when you go to college, it's like, well, if you go to college, I am not, and same thing with like spirituality and religion. Like, I want them to figure their lives out and not necessarily be influenced by my beliefs or feel like they have to live life the way that I live. So I think I've really swung my pendulum far this way. And
Yeah.
like, I want you to be so you, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And that is great though, because then they have their own path.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
perfect. I mean, they'll probably really, when they're older, be like, "Thanks so much, Mom. Thank you for letting me spread my own wings.
I hope so.
Even if it wasn't what you wanted me or to do or whatever." So, when you're working with people like this woman who really changed her whole entire life, what are What are the traits people have that you see that really do reach that success that they're looking for, whether that's success in money or success in just feeling, like you said, a passion or whatever? What do you notice? What does it take?
Well, for it takes it like a burning desire, right? Like
Mhm.
it absolutely takes a burning desire. And I think when somebody gets really clear on what they want, like that's the first thing. If we don't know what we want and we're
Mhm.
wishy-washy, then God or the universe or whatever it is can't bring it to us because we don't even know what that is, right?
Yeah.
So once we know though what we want and we have clarity, really things start to fall into place. And so as long as someone can hold that vision, take inspired action towards it, and literally burn all bridges behind, those are the ones that have the success in really fulfilling their purpose, in starting a business, in having success in a business. The ones that don't have a plan B, right? Like they know this is what they're here to do, and they're going to do it regardless of how many times they fail. And it's
Yeah.
persistence and it's
Mhm.
resilience and it's yes, failing and then course correcting and things not working and getting back up and doing it again. So it really takes knowing what you want, that it is part of why you're here, right? It
Yeah.
is, you're doing this for a reason greater than just yourself. And then the persistence and the resilience to stick with it.
Yeah. You said something interesting there. You said course correcting. It leads me to this question I have for you, which is people who do eventually start their own business. It's really in line with their passion. They love it. They've been working on it for a while. And then all of a sudden, it feels like a job again, right? Because,
Oh, yeah.
like stress happens. So it's work, it's still work. So, how do you help your clients or people? What do you say to people who are burning out on this passion and this purpose that they really are meant to share, but they're just starting to feel like it's just, I'm losing it. I'm losing the passion. What do you say to people?
Yeah, well, that happened to me too. I mean, I think it
Hmm.
was 2 years ago, and my business was earning like between 150 and $200,000 a month. I mean, it was going gangbusters,
Yeah.
and behind the scenes, I hated it. It was the
Yeah.
least, I was so miserable. I was in a CEO position. I was managing a team of 15 people. I felt like I was just between the war of sales and marketing, and sales was blaming marketing, and marketing was blaming sales, and it was like this is not why I started my business. This is
Yeah.
not the position I want to be in. This is not the work I want to do. I would rather be earning like way less money
Yeah.
and actually be doing the work that I'm doing. And so it was a really interesting experience because I had been so growth oriented and really just pushing, growing, pushing, growing, pushing, growing. And I got there and all of a sudden it was like, this is a cosmic joke because I'm miserable. I got what I wanted and now I hate it.
Yeah.
So I deconstructed. Like I literally hit a wall 9 months later and I was like, I am done. I
Yeah.
literally turned off all the ads. I let go of almost my entire team and I was like, what do I really love to do? And it's being with the women, it's coaching the women, it's writing my book, it's
Yeah.
speaking about this, it's motivating people, it's inspiring people. And so for the last year, I've really been turning things around. It's like, yes, when you do start to lose track of your purpose and you stop loving what you're doing, you've
Hmm.
just taken a different course, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, for me, it was I needed to hire someone to
Yeah.
manage the business. And
Yeah.
so I did. I hired someone to manage sales and marketing so that it wasn't me, right?
Right.
So it's like, what can you do to get you back into your own line of work so that you can do what you're gifted at and where your medicine is, and other people can do what they're gifted at? So I had
Yeah.
to do some strategic firing and I had to
Yeah.
do some strategic hiring
Hiring.
and some restructuring. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really great to say because it sounds like you're more of like a creative type,
Yes.
yeah, it's like don't give me the details, please. Let me just stay focused. Yeah, I'm with you there.
Exactly. Yeah,
The
exactly. Details are my
visionary.
worst nightmare. Yes, the
Yeah.
visionary. Yeah, I could not. Yeah, the details in me are not friends.
Yeah. I totally get that.
Yeah.
So let's get into your book. It's
Yeah.
Awaken Your Purpose. And I love the cover, by the way. And for
Thank
everybody
you.
listening, I did read her book and I was actually on vacation when I was reading it. So I was really relaxed. And I
Oh,
have to be honest with you, I'm going to give you you are like a cheerleader,
oh,
So
thank
like
you.
I'm reading it and I'm getting very excited about, my show's called Live Like Eden. I'm creating a Live Like Eden theme park as I'm reading it, you know.
Yes, that
You're
is
like, well,
awesome.
you're very positive, and anybody who's struggling out there that really is looking for their own purpose in life and they want to live it and they want to bring it forth, you do a great job of getting people the fire under your, belly
Yes.
to do it. So I just wanted to say that it's really, really inspiring. So
Thank
tell us about
you.
it. Tell us about the book.
Yeah, the book was really based on, coaching. It was my private coaching process that I took hundreds of women through, and then it became a group program, and then it became an online course, and thousands of women have gone through it. It's won a bunch of awards, and it was this process that I created not just on my own experience, but through, trial and error of working with so many clients and seeing what was working and what wasn't working and pulling in, it was the book is really around it's like soul meets strategy, right? So it's for anyone who wants to figure out what is my purpose? Why am I here? Why did my soul come here? What is my medicine? And then how can I find a business that's in alignment with that, right? So that I can start to like have an impact and actually earn money, profit from my purpose essentially. So the first half of the book is very much, as you know, really around tapping back into yourself, remembering who you are, understanding what the essence of your soul is. Why are you here? What are your gifts that you have to bring to the world? And then the second is really a strategic career coaching process almost of like, what career are you going to move into and or what business are you going to start? And then it takes you through sort of an evaluation process and then you choose. And it just works every time, you know?
Yeah. Well, one thing that I love about the book is that you talk about and you bring up imagination, and it brings you back to that childlike, curiosity that we all have when we come into the world, right? As kids, we
Yeah.
sit and I mean, you're making like, I used to lay in bed at the popcorn ceiling and like make characters and have a whole story going on. I mean,
Popcorn feeling. Oh my
I had the
gosh,
pop.
same.
I know. I mean, you're really, and people ask you when you're a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you're just like, telling them this whole story. And then as you get older, like you said, well, you can't do that. You're not going to make enough money, or, you're not going to have benefits. And it's like, then you start
Right.
feeling this pressure to do something you hate. So you do a really good job of getting people in touch with that imagination. Maybe you can share a little bit about how you tell them to do that. Like give
Yeah.
some example.
Well, it's like squashing dreams, I think. There when my daughter was 3 and she was getting ready to go to preschool, her older brother was going into first grade. And, they do the things on Facebook where you have the sign and it's like, I want to be when I
Yeah.
grow up, right?
Yeah.
So she wanted to do it too. And I was like, okay, well, let's do it with both of you. Well, he had said that he wanted to be an inventor. And when I
Oh,
said, Molly, what is it that you want to be when you grow up? And she kind of just looked at me for a minute and she was like, I just want to be myself, mom. And I was like,
awesome.
yeah,
So
right?
wise. Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
what? I mean, anyway, it was just this mind-blowing thing. So I think it's not necessarily about finding yourself. It's really just remembering who you are before you forgot, and before society like ripped all these things away. And there's so much. One of the exercises I have people do is write a list of 30 things that you love and that you love to do or that bring joy. And most of my clients would get stuck around 3 or 4 and they would have a hard time thinking of anything else. And so really, again, this is where you go back to figuring out the core of who you are and going back to when you were a child and what did you love to do as a child? I was not playing with Barbies. I was out in the
No.
mud. I was getting lost in the forest. I was jumping on the backs of horses and I love that. And that stuff today fuels me, right?
Yeah.
Like the nature and the hiking and
Hmm.
the sunsets and the sunrises and the horses and the trees. It's like, what fueled you as a child?
Yeah.
And I think that we get so much insight when we start to remember that. And there's a lot of people that have such traumatic childhoods that don't even
I know.
remember their childhood. And
Right.
so it takes some even deeper work to get back down in there, and really bring that forth.
Yeah. And what you're speaking about is freedom. I mean, you're talking
Yeah.
about liberating your mind,
Yeah. Yeah.
even if the physical doesn't manifest right away, you're still getting into that space of, you're opening up the door to step into what's possible. So that's, yeah,
Absolutely.
it's really great. You also did something in your book that I resonated with when, you said you did a lot of traveling. You're traveling
Yeah.
all over the world, which, man, I'd love to hear about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's another show, right?
Yeah.
But
Right.
you said something that hit home, and I'm sure it will hit with many people that read it, is, you're exploring and you're searching out there, and people go travel and think they're looking for something. They're going to find that aha,
Right.
that epiphany as they keep searching around the globe. And in reality, it's sitting right inside you, always was. So talk about that for a minute.
Oh, girl, I backpacked through 50 different countries,
Wow.
literally like
Wow.
trying to find myself, quote
Yeah.
unquote.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, no matter what I learned was no matter where you go, you follow, right? So like
Mhm.
my mind was still the same. The thoughts I was thinking were still the same. Yes, I was having these transformational experiences and it wasn't all fun and games, like I almost died. I ended up in the hospital in India.
Oh,
And
geez.
so I was having these like very transformational experiences, but I wasn't finding my purpose. And, I learned a lot though. Like I knew I didn't want to go back into corporate when I returned home from the trip. I lived in Australia for 10 years. I started changing, but it's like our purpose isn't something that we find outside of us. And it
Yeah.
looks so, I look and I'm like, that was so silly of me to think that it was that, but it's not. It's
Yeah.
definitely the inner work. And as soon as I turned inwards and started really doing that work of like peeling off the layers of kind of like, it's almost like we're an onion and we have all these
Yeah.
layers that we have to peel back,
Yeah.
right? That's when I started getting clear on, okay, this is what lights me up and this is who I am and this is what I'm here to do. And that's not external, it's internal.
No, no.
Yeah.
And people spend thousands of dollars, right? I mean,
Yeah.
think of all the time and money spent just continuing to seek all the time
Yeah.
when it's free to go
Right.
to go right inside, you know?
I
I
know.
know,
I
I
mean,
always talk about that. It's just right there.
right. It's like $60,000 from a master's degree and,
Yeah,
$40,000 for an undergraduate and however many thousands of dollars I spent traveling the world and living in Australia. It's like, yeah, I
I
mean,
know. It's funny. Were you in your 20? How old were you when you traveled all over the place?
yeah, I backpacked around Europe after I graduated from college. And then I took a bunch of like kind of random jobs. So I went up to Vail and worked the ski season for a
Hmm.
while. Really had the travel bug. So, ended up going down to like New Zealand and Southeast Asia and landed in corporate recruitment at like 26 or 27, but moved over to Australia. So I was actually working for a recruitment firm in Sydney.
Oh,
And then when I was 29, that was when I was like, I cannot do this. And so I left corporate, spent the year backpacking around the world for a year, and then moved back to Australia when I was 30. And that's when I took out the loan and got a master's degree in nonprofit management.
wow. Well, I bet you've paid it off by now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I paid it off in like the second year of my business. And now I
Yeah.
don't even use that degree, which is hilarious. But it was like 5 years of the executive, I was the executive director of a not-for-profit organization for 5 years. And it was great. Like I felt like I was making a difference in the world. It felt closer to being aligned with my purpose, right? I was helping
Yeah.
people. I wasn't just earning millions of dollars for a company that had millions of dollars. But at the same time, what I realized and when I was diagnosed with cancer was like, I'm still building someone else's dream. This is not
Yeah.
mine. I am building someone else's organization. This is not my work. This is somebody else's. And someone was still telling me where to be. I had to be at an office, at a desk from X time to X time. And they could tell me how much vacation I could or couldn't take. My salary was capped at $29,000 a year, which
Yeah.
I couldn't have survived as being a single mom on that kind of salary, right?
No,
So,
no, especially
um,
now.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So
It's
that was like I mean, that just goes to show when you're looking externally, you're going to get it wrong.
yeah,
Like you have to go inward. Um,
yes.
because I shot a target, I hit it closer, but I
Yeah.
still missed by a
Yeah.
lot.
But you probably now can relate to a lot of your clients who've done the same thing,
Yeah, totally.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
so you have
sure.
that kind of personal touch there.
Yeah.
It's funny, when my son was young, he used to like get really mad. And then he'd say, I'm running away. And he was super dramatic, and I'd be like, if you walk out that front door, your mind is going with you,
Yes. They
So
don't, yes.
you're like running away from what? It's right there. Yes.
That is so true. I have
Yeah.
not even thought about that,
It's
but
kind
it's
of
true.
interesting. I think about it a lot. We want to run. I mean, I think the mind's like it's that fight or flight is our response. Just get the
Yeah.
hell out of Dodge.
Right.
But
But yeah, your mind is right there. Your fears are right there. Your worries are right there. Your trauma is right there. You are right there.
yeah. And when you travel, I'm sure you had this experience too, where it's like it's fun to go explore other cultures and you do learn a lot, but at the same time, you also see that all of us are doing the same
Yeah.
damn thing
Right.
all over the world, right?
Yes,
Like getting
totally.
up, doing this whole thing. And it's
Yeah.
really about, like are you going to live it and love it? Or are you
Right.
going to live it and hate it?
Well,
What?
and here's what else I saw. That's exactly true. It's like we are very privileged living in the world that
Mhm.
we live in. And that was something else that really struck me was I traveled through so many developing countries where there
Yeah.
was no running water, there was no electricity. I did a lot of volunteer work throughout Africa. And it's like we have privilege
Yeah.
and we have the ability to course correct. We have the ability to start businesses. We have the ability to have impact. And it's like we have that privilege, and it's a responsibility in my mind. It's like I have the privilege, I have the dream, I have the desire. I need to do that. Like it's
Yeah.
almost a disservice to myself if I don't, not
Right.
only all those people that I meant to help, but to myself as well. And
Yeah.
I'm put in this position and I might as well use it.
Yeah. Well, I can see then why you got into nonprofit if you were down
Yeah,
and seeing the underdeveloped
right.
world. Oh, yeah.
For
And you
sure.
and your desire to help people was right there. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's why I did that was
Yeah.
spending so much time in India and Africa and yeah, it just really changed my perspective on a lot of things.
I bet. So, what do you say to parents or women who are starting their own businesses and it's a lot of work, right? It's a
Yeah.
lot of effort. And how do you manage being a parent? How do you do all this and do it well? Because
Yeah. Oh, girl. I mean, I guess I guess that's more of the strategic part of my business is helping them to start their business and grow it, right? So I do think, I mean, when I started my business, I was in an unsupportive marriage. I had a baby, I had a toddler, I was working full time, I had cancer, and I had no time. But for me, it was like I had that burning desire, and I knew that this business was going to be the vehicle to my own healing, the vehicle to my own work, and the vehicle to my own financial freedom, right? I knew I could leave my marriage if I got my business going. So there was no plan B. It was like I really put everything I had into my business and it became a non-negotiable. And it's like when
yeah,
you really focus on, and this is what I teach in my Soul Business Accelerator course, is like when you focus on the needle moving revenue generating activities and let all the other stuff go, you're going to start getting traction in your business. And it shouldn't take more than like 2 to 5 hours per week. I mean, that's all I had. I had Tuesdays and Thursday nights from like 8:30 after my kids went to bed until 10:30 when I was too tired that I couldn't even see
yeah,
straight anymore.
yeah,
But I got my business up to six figures because I
yeah,
focused on the things that were going to move the needle and I just let everything else go.
yeah. So, where do you see yourself now? Like, where do you see your business going? Or do you have anything new coming? Like, where is your passion leading you?
The book right now is everything. I mean,
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting it hit Amazon International Bestseller in the first month that it came out. And so I'm really having fun talking about it. I'm heading to LA. I've got some interviews lined up in New York. It's just been a lot of fun. And I think it's more life-changing than, like building a business and helping women grow a business is life-changing. But I think
yeah,
there's something so special about watching people really awaken to themselves and come home to themselves and just really start going from a place of depression and anxiety and dis-ease in their body to like living the life that they have always wanted to live. And to me, that's really where the magic is. And I think that's where my true medicine lies.
yeah. Well, and watching somebody just light up. I mean, the energy shift is amazing. It's amazing to watch transformation in action.
Yeah,
It's,
completely.
it's one thing to sit around and talk about it. It's another thing to do it. Sounds like
Yeah.
you've been good at doing it.
It's really, yeah, it's fun. It's what keeps me going is those messages and those emails of like, your course changed my life and your work has changed my life. And it's like, that is what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
That is my purpose. So
Yeah.
it feels
Yeah.
really good.
That's awesome. Well, as we wrap up today, what do you think? Like, what do you want to say to anybody listening who might be just really wanting, they're in that same position. They want to do their purpose. They know what it is. Like, what are some inspiring words that you would leave with people?
I would say you have a purpose. Everybody, we all have a purpose. We did not come here as a soul to slave away in a 9 to 5 or an 8 to 6, what it
Yeah.
is nowadays.
Oh,
And
I know.
we're not meant to be miserable. We're not meant to be depressed. We're not meant to be anxious. We're meant to be living our lives in the way that we really want to be living our lives. And so I think just for me, it was like I just remember as a kid always thinking that magic existed. And then as I moved into adulthood, that started to fade and reality just felt really heavy. And as soon as I really started to remember, myself and really reconnected spiritually, it's like, okay, actually magic does exist and this world is so fun.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so grab my book because it just walks you through a process and, it's everyone can afford it. I think it's even just like right now the audiobook is like $4.99 on Audible or Kindle or
Yeah.
whatever on Amazon. So it's anyone can grab it and it will literally change your life.
It does. And you just feel good after you read it. I was like having a great vacation. I
tired.
know. Well, yeah, especially if you have something in you, it just kind of ignites that. So I highly recommend it. Anybody who's listening, go read it. Also, Erica, where can we find you online? Is ericacarrico.com? Is that?
Yeah, yep. Everything's there.
Yeah.
ericacarrico.com. My courses are there. The book is there. My social medias, I believe, are even there. You can Google Erica Carrico and just tons of stuff comes up also. So lots
Yeah.
of free resources, YouTube,
Yeah.
Instagram, but
Yeah. You're all over. You got media all over and lots of
yeah.
good articles. I've read your article in Forbes. So
Yeah, thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah. So it's been awesome having you on. Thanks so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. It's been great to chat with you. I wish you
Yes.
all the luck in the world, Erica.
Thank you so much. This has been so great.
Yeah, thank you. That's it for today's show. Thanks so much for listening. If it resonated, please share, follow, and drop a review with your takeaways. It really means a lot. Visit my website at livelikeeden.com to subscribe for weekly reminders and blogs, or sign up for a free 30-minute consult to explore one-on-one guidance sessions if you're really struggling in Awakening's darkness. Take my Awakening quiz to get a personal podcast playlist that meets you exactly where you're at. See you next week for another deep dive.